Ladies and gentlemen, this is an article that came out in pri.org, remembering the Black soldiers executed after Houston's 1917 race riot. And of course, you can see the courtroom, everybody white sitting in the lawyer's chair, um, and of course, leading in the army, and everybody over here black being punished. Some things never change, right? Houston marked an anniversary in December that some in the city would perhaps rather forget. Others demand be recalled more clearly. On December 11th, 1917, 13 Black soldiers were hung for their part in a little remembered and deadly race riot. They were condemned to death after a trial many called unjust. Like I said, some things never change. Now, at a moment when the continuing impact of racism in policing and criminal justice is a topic of fought public conversations throughout the United States, relatives on both sides of that Houston riot are uniting to preserve the memory of the event and to find some justice for those executed soldiers. And you can see in the pictures right here, these were the soldiers that received life sentences. Ladies and gentlemen, you know they got to always go overboard sentencing Black men because they hate Black men. It began in July 1917, following America's declaring war on Germany and entering World War I. The 3rd Battalion of the 24th United States Infantry, a predominantly Black unit, was sent to guard the construction of Camp Logan, part of the new war effort on the edge of Houston. From the beginning, the soldiers encountered Jim Crow law and racism from police and civilian workers. Constructing the camp resented their presence. They sent these soldiers into the most hostile environment imaginable, says Charles Anderson, a relative of Sergeant William Nesbitt, one of the hanged soldiers. The soldiers should never have been sent there. They should have remained at their base in New Mexico until the order came to go to France. Tensions mounted until around noon on August 23rd, when the Houston police attacked, listen to this, a Black soldier for allegedly interfering in the arrest of a Black woman, triggering a rapid escalation of events, leading to false rumors reaching Camp Logan by evening that a soldier had been killed and that a white mob was approaching the camp. See, white mobs were only used, ladies and gentlemen, to destroy Black communities or go after Black men. That's the only purpose in the white mob. It just came to this, they didn't destroy anybody else. They just came to destroy us. Always in mobs. Always remember that. Just like you see them deal with us in mobs even to this day. Soldiers grabbed rifles and headed into downtown Houston against the orders of their superior officers. The rampage lasted 2 hours, involved gun battles between the soldiers and the police and local residents, with bayonets being used, leaving 16 white locals dead, including 5 policemen. 4 Black soldiers also died. The tempers finally cooled. The soldiers returned to camp. The next day, martial law was declared in Houston, and the following day, the unit was dispatched back to New Mexico before 3 court-martials were convened to try 118 indicted soldiers. 64 men were tried in San Antonio, charged with disobeying orders, mutiny, murder, and aggravated assault. But never mind what the white mob did, right? We're just going to ignore that. Let's just focus on what the black men did. Let's not focus on the ones that initiated the problem in the first place. Okay. During the first court martial that began November 1st, the largest murder trial in U.S. military history, resulting in the 13 death sentences. They were represented by just one lawyer and didn't even have a chance to appeal, says Angela Holder, great niece of Corporal Jesse Moore, one of the hanged soldiers, and a history professor at Houston Community College. They were denied due process guaranteed by the Constitution because they don't even consider us humans. They still got in their Constitution, we are 3/5 of a human, although it is proven that we are the only full humans on the face of the earth. The rest of them are all hybrids. Not one Houstonian among the prosecution witness could identify a soldier as having fired shots that killed someone, while routinely referring to the accused using the N word. So all of the witnesses, which you can best believe were white, got on the stand, and not one of them saw a single soldier fire a shot, but sat there using the N word over and over. 7 soldiers agreed to testify against the others in exchange for clemency. On November 28th, the 13 men were found guilty and sentenced to death. 2 weeks later, without an appeal, they were hanged on December 11th. And here's the marker. See, ladies and gentlemen, you notice they only want to give negative memorials to Black people. Everything they want to tie us to is a negative event that happened. They'll gladly slap a marker up or a statue or put up a monument for something negative. That's why I'm not going to ever visit these places, because I know what they're trying to do. Shortly after the hasty executions, and in the face of condemnation from both military and civilian figures, the U.S. Army made changes to its Uniform Code of Military Justice to prevent executions without meaningful appeal. Oh, you did this after you hung them. Oh, that's when you decided to do this, after you hung them. Y'all full of shit. These changes remain in place today. It was too late for the soldiers hanged. No, they wanted it to be too late. From the scaffold, besides the Salado Creek in San Antonio. But some in Houston say it's not too late for some kind of justice. During the Obama presidency, soldiers' relatives lobbied unsuccessfully. Of course, you were doing this with Obama, for posthumous pardons. The petitions have now been sent to Trump, White House. Holder was more successful in 2017 at lobbying the Veterans Association for gravestones in a Houston cemetery for 2 soldiers killed during the riot. And along with other local activists, she also helped organize the August 23rd rededication of a Texas Historical Commission marker at the former site of Camp Logan to mark the riot's 100th anniversary. The ceremony was attended by Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner, who said the history of the event is calling us today to be better and for good people of all backgrounds to speak against hate and stand united. And it wasn't the only 100th anniversary to help focus the minds of those familiar with the riot. on the past, present, and future. The centennial of the U.S. entry into World War I was likely brought a heightened awareness. Such events and emboldened people to address a sensitive topic, says Lila Rakos. I don't know, a program coordinator of military sites and oral history programs at the Houston Historical Commission. Also, recent national police controversies. We still have those. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, nothing is going to change policing in America unless they make policing look just like the population in America, and they have yet to do that. Have struck unfortunate parallels with events surrounding the riot. This was a problem created by community policing in a hostile environment, says Paul Matthews, founder of Houston's Buffalo Soldiers National Museum, which examines the roles of African American soldiers during U.S. military history. The soldiers were standing up for America when it wasn't standing up for them. And that's still the case, ladies and gentlemen. So you can see the markers on the two soldiers that were hung. And, it's amazing to me that you don't even see on the markers that these were men wrongfully executed in a court case that showed no evidence. A similar perspective is shared by some relatives of those who suffered because of the rioting soldiers. The soldiers were 100% wrong for rioting, but I don't blame them, says Jules James. No, those soldiers did what they had to do to protect themselves. I don't say they're wrong. It's everybody's human right to defend themselves. So, Jules James, I do not agree with you. Grandnephew of Captain Bartlett James, one of the battalion's white officers who managed to restrain a large number of soldiers from leaving camp, but died under suspicious circumstances before the court martial notes. James, who has researched the history, now no wonder why he said it was wrong. Oh, Lord have mercy. Just ignore this Jules James. He's full of shit. The unit had 60 years of excellent service, was full of experienced veterans, but couldn't endure 7 weeks of Houston because the people there made it impossible. They made it impossible. They made it a hostile environment. This is not those soldiers' fault. Current attempts to deal with this racial tragedy brought Sandra Hodgman, granddaughter of one of the police killed, together with Holder and Anderson when they met to retrace the Houston streets taken by the riot soldiers. The men did not have a fair trial, Hodgman said. I have no doubt about the likelihood the men executed had nothing to do with the deaths. And I agree with that. I mean, I don't see how anybody got put to death and you had no evidence of them even firing one shot. That makes absolutely no sense. It only makes sense to a racist. You have to look at the whole story, why it happened, and learn from it. Both sides bear responsibility. No, one side bear responsibility. No, it's not no both sides. Y'all try that mess all the time when you don't want to take full responsibility. Relatives continue waiting for a response to pardon petitions. In the meantime, preserving the memory of the Houston riot and its aftermath has itself served as a kind of justice for the relatives of the soldiers and police who died because of it. Sandra Hodgman, ancestor, who was killed, was a good policeman. No, he was a cop, y'all, during Jim Crow. He was not a good cop. He was probably very much like the cops that you see today that come up and just gun us down unarmed and don't care. That's the kind of policeman her relative was. And bring abandoned Black children to his home where his wife would nurse them. Anderson said, no one should have lost their life that night, and had the right decisions been made, it was a very bad strategy that did not need to happen. Well, I agree with the relatives that said, you put those soldiers in a very hostile environment and then you expect them to deal with that. Ladies and gentlemen, keep your eyes wide open in 2019. I think it is going to change policing in America forever. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I will see you on the next video. Peace, family.